Dear viewers, welcome back after the break. Before the break, we showed you the shrine of Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh, the Khanqah of Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullahi alayh. Let us now discuss the teachings of Nizamuddin Awliya. And remember those advices his Shaykh Baba Fariduddin Ganjashakar gave him Rahmatullahi alayh. And among them, the last advice was, "O my disciple, whenever you consume food, make sure you consume it with someone. Make sure you eat with someone. Someone accompanies you when you are eating. Never eat alone." Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya, when they went back to India, Delhi, to propagate the message of peace, unity, Sufism, they were so successful that thousands and thousands of people used to come from various cities around India, the subcontinent at the time, just to sit in the gatherings of Nizamuddin Awliya. And he became so famous that in fact he had to arrange that when people came to his Khanaqah in Delhi, that when they arrived in the city of Delhi, that they were welcomed on various different locations close to the border of Delhi. As soon as people arrived in the city of Delhi, they were welcomed by his disciples. And in fact, some books have narrated there used to be 24, 25 different stations around the surroundings of Delhi. So when travelers used to come to meet him, before they actually went to the Khanqah, as soon as they entered Delhi, they were welcomed by his disciples. And there was a well digged there, they were given water, they were given food. And there was on each station a Hafiz of the Quran who used to recite the Holy Quran, used to do the recitation of the Holy Quran. And then from there on the people used to go to the Khanaqah. Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullahi alayh, in fact, in the early years when he went to Delhi, he spent most of his time in extreme poverty. In fact, he used to fast most of the times. And whatever he used to have for iftar, according to the nasiha of his Shaykh, he used to wait until he would find someone. He used to open his fast but not eat until he found someone to share his food with. Once a beggar came to Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya when he was doing his iftar, he was opening his fast. And this beggar asked him to give the food. And he said, I want the complete food. The flour was in the pot. And Nizamuddin Awliya gave the whole pot to the beggar, had nothing for himself. The beggar ate the majzoob, the beggar, faqir, darwish, ate from it, and some he ate, and then he threw that pot down on the ground and it broke down. And then the beggar said to him, "O Nizamuddin, Fariduddin, your Shaykh Fariduddin Ganjashakar has sent me to you. And the reason he has sent me is, he has said to me that, O Nizamuddin, Fariduddin is blessing you with divine bounties. And the faqir said, I have broken the pot of your apparent self-sufficiency. That you were a faqir, you were always living in poverty, even though Allah has given you so many blessings, so many barakat, yet you chose for this. Now you will be the source of the blessings of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And in fact, the message of Fariduddin was, "O my disciple, from now on may you consume 70 mounds of flour daily. 70 mounds of flour daily, may you consume them." And what happened is, this person, faqir, went. The next day, as soon as Fajr started, people started coming from various different places. And each of them brought presents along with them. And they gave the presents to Nizamuddin Awliya. And Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullah was a Sufi. He never took anything for him. He accepted these gifts as accepting a hadiyah. Accepting a gift is a sunnah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the sunnah of the Prophet doesn't end here. The sunnah of the Prophet, the practice of the Prophet was, when he accepted gifts, he at the same time never spent it on himself. He used to then distribute it among his companions. So Nizamuddin Awliya, he said to his companions, "Tell everyone among you, tell everyone who are not murideens, who are not my disciples, those who are Muslim, those who are non-Muslim, everyone, announce among them, whoever is in need, come and we will inshallah give you." And people started coming. And in fact, there used to be always two queues in his Khanaqah, 2 rows. thousands of people on one side who were giving presents, and thousands of people on the other side who used to then receive these blessings, these presents, who used to be distributed these presents by Nizamuddin Awliya, his own disciples. And in fact, from that day, what happened is, according to what the statement of Nizamuddin, of Baba Fariduddin Ganja Shakar Rahmatullah alayh, that O Nizamuddin, may you consume 70 mounds of flour daily. From that day, Nizamuddin Awliya arranged food to distribute among the poor people. And what happened is that amazingly, every day, 3,000 people during the breakfast, 3,000 people during the lunch, and 3,000 people during the dinner used to come, and they used to be fed at the Khanaqah of Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullah alayh. So at one day, 9,000 people at one day used to be fed at the Khanaqah of Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullah alayh. In fact, the ruler of that time, their viewers, was astonished, surprised, and he came, and when he came to the Khanaqah, he saw that 9,000 people daily are getting their food, and what he saw was amazing. He saw various kind of quality food, and then he was surprised, and he thought to himself that when this is the position of his disciples, this is the position of the followers, then what would be the food, what would be the quality of the food, what kind of dishes, what kind of meals would be then presented to the Shaykh himself, Nizamuddin Awliya. And he asked the disciples, I want to sit and have food, have dinner with the Shaykh. The disciples said, O ruler, O king, there is no need of that. The king said, no, I want to go and ask ijazah, permission from the Shaykh. The Shaykh granted permission. This king came into the room, and there was a sufra, there was a cloth sheet, dinner sheet at the ground, and he sat at the ground, and he was waiting for the food to arrive. One servant disciple arrived with one small bowl and presented in front of him. And then Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya arrived in the room. The king stood up out of reverence, respect. Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya told him to sit down, and they sat down. And then Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya started saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And he then took the bowl in his hand, and there were only beans in them, beans. And they were in fact the hard beans. He took out the hard beans separately in front of himself and gave the other soft beans to his guest, the king. And he said, oh my king, have the food. And he himself started eating the hard bones. The king was a king, he was used to eating very delicious foods, so he was not able to eat, but out of respect, embarrassment, he just tried to eat, but he was not able to. When the Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya looked at him, he smiled, he said, oh king, is everything okay? The king said, oh Nizamuddin, oh Shaykh, I'm wondering, is there nothing else going to arrive? Is there nothing else going to arrive in the dinner table, dinner sheet? Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya smiled and said, oh king, if I would have the same food that the disciples are having, my followers are having, then I would not be able to give them that food. I myself, I am killing my nafs. I am suppressing my lower self, my desires. I am having simple food, even though I can have that food. But I choose this, I choose to be patient for, I choose to be sabir. I am choosing to be thankful to Almighty Allah. Even though He has given me everything, I am still choosing to distribute it among Him. And since I am doing this, every day Allah increases the barakat, increases the blessings. The king started shedding tears and fell at the feet and said, Ya Shaykh, make me a disciple of you also. And he became a disciple of Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullah alayh. This is the teachings of Nizamuddin Awliya. And in fact, he said, Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullah alayh, to his disciples, when people will come to you in the Khanqah, don't talk to them, don't propagate to them, don't tell them about Islam, about the commandments of Almighty Allah, about the prohibitions. Don't tell them, don't do dawah, don't do tabligh. No, when they come, first greet them, say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. After greeting them, present in front of them food. And when they have eaten, when you have served them, your guests as a host, and then ask them what you can do for them. When they ask you for dua, pray for them. When they ask you for guidance, give them guidance. This was the teaching of Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullah alayhi. And even today, thousands of people every day, their viewers, are fed, are given food at the shrine of Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi, whether it is day, whether it is night. Now, among the teachings of Shaykh Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullah alayhi is also that he said, O my disciple, the recitation of the Quran is much more powerful, effective in achieving ma'rifah, gnostic, Gnostics. Then zikr, then remembrance of Allah's names only. To recite the Holy Quran is much more effective than just saying Allah, 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 Allah. This is the teaching of a Sufi. So we as Sufis, we as people who call ourselves Sufis, we concentrate on zikr and say zikr all the time, Allah, 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 have halaqat of zikr. But we have to think that the Sufis themselves, Nizamuddin Awliya said, rahmatullah alayhi, that it is more effective to have halaqat of Quran first. Halaqat of tilawatul Quran, qiraatul Quran, to have halaqat, gatherings of recitation of the Holy Quran, and then with that have gatherings of zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by repeating the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reciting the name of Allah. Then the Shaykh, he said, the Shaykh, he believed that one who has caused pain to another human being can not attain spiritual excellence unless he asks forgiveness to the person he has given pain to. When you give pain to someone, you talk about someone negatively. You talk about someone negatively, you hurt someone with your words, with your mouth, with your hands. You cannot attain spiritual excellence. This is the teachings of Nizamuddin Awliya rahmatullahi alayhi. You may at the same time pray 5 times a day. You may at the same time read Quran. You may at the same time give charity to people. But if you only give pain to one heart of a person, then you will not get spiritual excellence. Simple as that. Because Rumi, the great Jalaluddin Rumi rahmatullahi, the Maulana Rumi, he said, Dil badastavar hajji akbar ast. Dil badastavar hajji akbar ast. Az hazara kaaba yak dil behtar ast. That to relieve one heart from pain, to relieve the pain from one heart is better than Hajji Akbar, than the big, great pilgrimage. Why? Because yak dil behtar, hazara kaaba yak dil behtar ast. Because one heart of a human being is better than thousands of houses of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is Sufism, this is the teaching, these are teachings of Sufism, my dear viewers. Then the Shaykh said, one who repents sincerely after committing a sin, one who does tawbah, asks forgiveness sincerely after committing a sin, is in the eye of Almighty Allah equal to the person who has not committed any sin whatsoever. Then he said, O my disciples, study the books of Mashaykh, study the books of Sufis, their life, their teachings, their days, their nights. They should be studied regularly, these books, because you will be then given the blessings and you will get the motivation, the inspiration. Then he said, O my disciple, bread earned through permitted means provide greater spiritual enlightenment than livelihood obtained through doubtful means. That bread you earn with difficulty but through permitted, through halal means, will give you more barakat, will give you more blessings than that bread, that food you have earned through haram and prohibited means. There is no barakah in them whatsoever. On the day of judgment, this will cause you problem, difficulty. And then food should not be taken alone. And then fasting is half the prayer, the other half is patience. Also the Shaykh said, there should be no expression of anger when points of differences are discussed. The Shaykh gave a point of adab, that when you are talking between each other, brothers, friends, as colleagues, at jobs, workplaces, and there are different opinions, then there should not be anger. Anger should not be expressed whatsoever. There should be an environment of tolerance. This is tasawwuf, this is Sufism. Unfortunately, today the West has adopted this, my dear viewers, and we Muslims, we have totally forgotten this. This is the essence of Islam. These are the teachings of Islam, Sufism, tasawwuf. How to behave with others, to tolerate others, and at the same time not to express your anger even if there is difference of opinions. This is why in Islam, in the jurisprudence, there are 4 schools of thoughts, having difference of opinions, but yet they had respect for each other. Unfortunately today, nowadays, we have people who fight because they have difference of opinions and there is no environment of tolerance whatsoever. Sufism teaches the opposite. Islam teaches the opposite. Islam teaches no expression of anger when you are discussing points of differences. Many other things the Shaykh gave as his teachings. In fact, before I go, I would like to today share with you this book, The Sayings and Teachings of the Great Mystics of Islam, written by Muhammad Riyaz. And it contains a lot of sayings, statements of the great awliya. Do get this book, study this book as well, inshallah. Next week, another Sufi Shaykh's life and teachings, and show you the shrine, inshallah ta'ala. Until next week, remember me in your prayers. Fi amanillahi wa rasulihi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.